Hey, welcome to Scry-fi. We're talking about Ahsoka episode 5 this time. 45 minutes. 45 minutes is a good chunky time. I can be happy with that. And probably the best one out of all of them. I've loved every one, but every episode was better than the last.
I don't know. I think in retrospect, I could imagine liking the one before better overall, but I was more excited by this one, so maybe you're probably right. But the last one was really good, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one was great. I love that this had no Balin, no Elsbeth, no nothing. Right? It was just a focus episode. It was really, really good.
This one was truly Ahsoka. This was like, yeah.
You know, at the very beginning, I was like, oh no, they did what Chris said. They're going to skip over it and just have her climb up over the edge without saying what happened.
I know. They start with that scene, right?
They're like, what happened to you? I don't know. I don't remember.
There's that scene where she's walking around. It's even showing the edge, and I'm like, I better not see Anne come up.
Yeah. And she's just like, what happened? He goes, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember.
Yeah. We will never speak of it again.
Jedi code.
No, but they did. They give you everything you wanted. I was thinking halfway through the episode, it was like, man, Filoni's just like giving you everything you want. You know, it's like he's thinking about, you know, what would be fun to see next.
And yet there's still some stuff that you would love for them to talk about and say things to each other. And
there's always going to be stuff like that.
There is, but you know, there's the, you know, hey, I know your son. Hey, you know, all this stuff that's like...
you remember when you were with the Beatles? That was
cool. I think
but
overall,
you know,
this episode, I think there was one miss that I would have liked, and maybe it's coming, but there was one miss I would have liked to have seen. We'll get into it, I'm sure, but I think overall it was pretty flawless.
Yeah,
I just love.
We normally say, by the way, spoilers. This whole thing spoils the whole episode. You should have.
Yeah, come back and watch it after. And we're assuming you've seen it, but you know, I just love seeing the ramp of the ghost. But like, there it is.
I know. When you're huge fans of Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff, it just this one scene alone is just...
There was one scene in this, though, where I was thinking, like, oh, that was for the people that haven't watched anything else. Where she goes, your father was a Jedi. His father was a Jedi. And then, what's the guy's name? The pilot?
Arson.
Yeah, he's just like, okay.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. He was like, all right. Whatever.
Force stuff? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was good.
I like it. Yeah. So it starts off with her checking out the area and stuff. And then, you know, hey, is it safe to come out kind of thing. What if it wasn't? What if there were...
I know. She didn't know if there's monsters in those trees or...
Well, this is pretty cool. As she like starts getting to the edge, she tells them she just does that.
Oh, because she heard something come.
Yeah, and he instantly ducks behind Chopper.
You could tell they've been through some adventures.
Already. He knows what to do, and Chopper's just like, all right. Like,
the only thing with Chopper so far, there was the one scene where he was doing the tracking device, and his hands came out, and he started doing the Chopper thing, right? But other than that, it's just a lot of head bobs. Like, he's a bobblehead. There's not enough, like, he's a very snarky, but very demanding and very forward droid. And it came out with like that, with the hand motion. All he's doing is a lot of this and not a lot of like the whole, I'm going crazy.
Well, they did do a lot of that in the one where he had to throw the tracker on there. Because he was like, did you mess with my stuff? And he was like, and then he's like, and all
in
that
that
stuff.
episode, he did a lot of the arm stuff because obviously he's not rolling around and doing some stuff. But other than that, like even when he was playing with Jason, like he's just rolling around. It kind of felt like he's just a remote control in this one.
I mean, I know that Chopper's your favorite droid. You would rather it be Chopper the whole episode be Chopper, right?
Now,
well, the thing is, it's kind of like a comic relief thing. It's like you got to have them fall into the background when you're trying to have a serious tone or something like that.
Yeah, we talked about that before, like having Zeb come in and how it would break the continuity of what the episode was trying to do. It's just, I feel like Chopper's character throughout Rebels, and I wouldn't say he's my favorite. I still think R2's got it. Chopper's just got that sassiness. Like R2's got it too. Chopper, like, you understand what Chopper's saying, where R2 can be a little bit different. Like, you can hear Chopper.
Well, what if Chopper is becoming more mature too over time?
Yeah, sure.
I thought about
that's
that.
His arc.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought about that he probably is more protective of Jason and all that stuff. Like, I bet you he's taken on a little bit more of a role of a protector.
Yeah, maybe. Well, with Kanan going down and
Yep.
Interesting.
Zeb, obviously, they're not with Zeb anymore, and Ezra's gone. So this was massive.
Yeah, we talked about this last episode where, like, he told them, "Don't."
He's like, "I told him to." Yeah, I like that he referenced that. Good.
Yeah.
And
they just kind of like were, silly droid. Okay.
You pointed this out, Daniel. I think last episode or the episode before, his eye slits, the eyes reacting to the emotion.
I like that. When he's looking around in the trees, the little bottom ones go up like.
Yeah, it's really giving him a lot of character.
Yeah, they do so well at giving you this like full character and emotion.
Now, what's neat about that is that you imagine, like, okay, a lot of droids, they tend to have more personality the longer they go without a memory wipe. But like certain droids, like 3PO units, are made to interact with people. So it makes sense that their programming is very emotive and emotional and all that. And he's made to train younglings, right? So they probably would similar. You train, you want them to understand what you're trying to teach them. So you would have a facial expressions, so that kind of makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they didn't skip over it. They went right back to it, and I was happy about that.
And I have to say, I was a little concerned the last time I saw the face. It looked a little digitized and stuff. But I thought in this episode, I was looking at his face. It looked really good.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a lot of still frame shots and was looking right at that. I have a few.
I was like, wow. I was impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, now this has been pointed out since the last episode, but he has Darth Vader's lightsaber.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't actually. People thought that because it was real dark, but somebody I saw zoomed in and brought the brightness up, and you could tell it was.
It is right here. This is Darth Vader's.
No, that's Luke's. That's Luke's lightsaber.
Is it?
Yeah, the way you tell the difference is on the end. Darth Vader's has a big black thing that covers the end. And that lightsaber just goes staying skinny the whole way through, and it's chrome.
What's that one right there?
I know it looks like they both have the same back. They both have the same handle part, or similar handle part. But you'll see in other shots.
Yeah.
It's the...
I like how he's like, you got older. It's like, yeah, that happened.
Some people are saying that's not really him. That's some other being pretending to be him. I've seen that in a few comments, but I don't believe that at all. I think the whole point of this is to have them have their moments together.
By the way, at the last scene of the last one, we didn't see a scar. Some people said thought they saw him, but I had.
That's another thing. I saw them raise the brightness and zoom in, and it had a scar.
Okay, here you can definitely see it.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on it. The way they have him turn, it's right. They make sure you know it's that one. I did see, Daniel. To your point, I was reading something about how the speculation was he's the brother and she was the sister, the spirit because of Moai and all that stuff, or now he's the mother embracing whatever. And I thought that would have been an interesting play on it, but to what Chris said, this was the final training. Like I don't think it's the brother stepping in or anything. I think this was somehow Anakin's whatever in this thing helping her finish that training that he abandoned her.
Yeah, and we should talk about as we get into it. We should talk about what that lesson was, and because it's kind of ambiguous.
Now this little bit tells you a whole bunch, but she says, "I will not fight you," and he says, "I've heard that before,"
Yeah.
because that's what Luke Skywalker says to him and stuff. And that reflection, she wouldn't know that. So this tells me this isn't just going on in her head, because other than this moment, it could be totally in her head, and Jason's sitting out there and he's like hearing what's going on in her head, and that's it.
Yeah.
But this is, I think there's more to it. I think there's an actual being that was Anakin that is still communicating to her here.
But you know what it feels like? It feels almost like Anakin is in this state of limbo, kind of always stuck between, like when it's flashing back and forth. But I think that's just the lesson, really. I don't think that's what, I think his salvation was supposed to be true, but it kind of feels that way. You know, it feels like he's in this kind of dark and light limbo.
I think part of his salvation ends up with him accepting what he had done and things like that. You know, you can't be tortured about what you've done and gone to the light side again.
What's really interesting is that those episodes with Yoda in the 6th season of Clone Wars, I don't want to spoil other things outside of our episode, so I won't talk about it too much, but it goes into depth about the training that is necessary to be a Force ghost, and part of that is in facing your darkness. You remember that? And so the fact that he basically did face his darkness by being Darth Vader, you know, it's like
Interesting.
But is this his Force ghost, or did he pull an Ezra and find a way into the world?
No, I don't think this is actually the world between worlds.
Well, it could be one and the same. It could be that this is where Force ghosts hang out when they're not appearing in the normal world. You know?
Or it's a place where they can come to easier, because he's not all blue and glowy.
Maybe that's where you are when you're one with the Force.
Maybe. Yeah. These lightsaber battles, the choreography in what's going on in these scenes, it's like he didn't miss a beat. He's
I know. His style was exactly the same as his style in Episode 3.
When he does the one with the Obi-Wan fight where he does the twisting, like he is just
doing the flipping behind it. Yeah.
Oh my God. She's great.
Very good at recapturing.
She's been killing Ahsoka. Like, she is nailing the mannerisms. She's nailing the fight sequences. She's really doing a great job in her character, but we don't really have anything to go on with her. We have a cartoon, right? So like, she's bringing this live action to us, but Hayden has brought Darth to us, like Anakin and Darth to us already. So like, to see him, it's just amazing. And you're talking years ago, right? Like 2003 was Episode 2. And then 2005 was the fight with Obi. And now we're in 23, and he is just on point with every move.
Yeah.
So good.
Excellent.
So this is where it cuts to Jason sitting there, and he's like listening. He can hear it in the waves. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Like I like very how, as far back as Rebels and stuff, they kind of, whenever someone's new to the Force or being young or something like that, it's almost like they pick a talent that they kind of shine in almost.
Their like first doorway into the Force.
Yeah, with Ezra, it was connecting with animals, right? Yeah. And I'm wondering, is his like, I don't know, like feeling his friends far away, that kind of thing, you know, like, I don't know if they want to get that detailed or anything, but I just think it's cool.
I love the transitions when we get into I can hear the lightsabers and you hear the waves and they go into the lightsaber sounds. It was very like the episode before where we were looking at the waves and it transitioned to Ahsoka lying there on the thing. It was very the transitions of things are really spot on.
And those lightsaber sounds were so subtle at first. It was like you could almost really hear them in the waves, just normal wave sounds. You could, if you thought about it.
As the waves crashed, they would hit each other. Yeah.
Now, I love the scanner here. That's the same kind of scanner that Han Solo had when he was scanning for Luke out in Hoth.
On Hoth.
Remember that?
Yeah, I took this shot specifically because I knew you'd like that scanner. Yeah. I love his whole look. His whole, we got to talk about this. He's like, what's good? What's the use of having that high rank if I can't use it every now and then like that?
And it
Yeah,
really
she's actually
her apart, right? She's got a choice to make between, hey, they need you, we need to go this way. And Jason's like, no, come listen. And she's like right in the middle of, what do I do?
Yeah, and let me say this, because this may be the only time ever in the history of writing that the kid has gone, hey, I hear something, and the mother goes, oh, okay, let me pay attention to what you're talking about. Every other story.
Well, she knows he has abilities.
Yeah, even in stories where they know they have abilities, they ignore the kid to their peril. But here she goes, okay, shut up. Let me listen.
Yeah, but not at first, though. She's like, in a minute. And then Jason's like, Ma, you got to listen. Like,
well, he probably also does kid stuff. So she's like, oh, this is more than just kid stuff.
Right, but how many times do you see like the kid go, I'm hearing voice, and they're like, yeah. They just totally ignore it completely.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, hold on, he's being serious. Let me think. Yeah. I was like, what? Because I totally expected it for her.
You know, another interesting thing about this scene is I don't think Hera is technically force sensitive. But if you have a force sensitive person guiding you, could it be that, regular people could
either that or maybe he can hear it and then project it back to her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, this is where it's like his father was a Jedi, and you're like, okay. Whatever.
Was that when Jason went back to the ship, or is that coming up after?
Yeah, that's not yet, because that was a great moment too. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was great.
Yeah, this is the moments where they clash and like look at each other and stuff like that. It's like you see so much history in every one of those looks. I just love looking at these scenes every time they stop.
It was very reminiscent of knowing that Obi and Anakin were going to fight in 3, and you had that moment of, all right, here, like sitting up in the seat, like, okay, here it comes. You had that in Rebels, right, where she says, I'm not going to fight you, to Anakin, or to Darth, really.
And she doesn't say that in Rebels.
No, she has a moment where she's not going to fight him. Like, she's going to not try and do the thing. And you have it again here, but like it was very reminiscent of that moment in 3 where like I sat up and was like, oh, here it comes. Like, they're going to do it. And then it was so well done.
So it cuts away the area. She starts falling. This part was really cool because when she stands up, we get her from Clone Wars.
Yeah, I remember that exact outfit too.
I know. They nailed the outfits, the look. The actor that they got for this, she did really well. Yeah. I mean, it was just great.
And this is the first time we've seen live action Clone Wars armor on a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless that's what Balin is wearing. That could be his old.
Of Obi-Wan and Anakin and all them wearing it. Although what Balin wears looks older to me. I was looking at the details on his shoulder pauldrons, and they look almost like they're made out of wrought iron. Just real.
It's interesting.
Strange.
I thought I saved a picture of the live action Ahsoka and the Clone Wars Ahsoka. Somebody had put a picture, like a side by side. I don't have it on my phone. It's out there though. It was really cool to see. Like they paid attention. I think I posted it. I might have posted it in our Discord.
I love that she has the green lightsaber.
Yeah,
I could tell it was Ryloth when I saw those two Twi'leks they were talking to.
Which is real early on in Clone Wars.
This
was really cool. Yeah, to see them run with.
These are also live action clones, by the way, which you'd think you saw before, but really those were all CG clones in the prequels.
It's true. Yeah.
But we also saw live action clones in some other flashbacks. I don't remember where, but they did them with people in suits.
Yeah, this was just really cool. In this scene, you could barely see the walkers, but later on, you can see them a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
those were real popular.
And when I saw the Twi'leks back there and stuff, I was like, "Oh, this is Ryloth."
And Tamira Morrison's voice, he was in the credits.
Yeah. Well, it's Rex, right? First live action. Well, not really first live action Rex, but
where was Rex before in live action?
Return of the Jedi.
No, that's
well, they're
yeah. So
they say they've said that was Rex.
Yeah.
Right. Retro Rex.
Yeah. Retro Rex. This was a pretty cool moment for her to, because you never really get to see it in Clone Wars, where she just jumps right into fighting, and then you don't see the reaction from a kid having to be through a war.
Yeah.
She did this really well. And there's Rex in the distance.
Yep. As soon as you see the blue, right? As soon as you see that right here, you're like, oh, I know. This was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how here his hair's a little shorter still. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, just as they were running, she said, like, what about my training? And he said, this is your training, the war, you know. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I think this is the whole thing. You know, it's like they were supposed to be peacekeepers, and she was raised as a warrior. And this relates directly to what, what's the big baddie name?
Thrawn?
With the beard. Huh?
You mean Dooku?
No, in this series, Balin. Yeah.
Balin.
This relates directly to what Balin was doing. It was like so inevitable. He was ready to talk some more, and she just wanted to go right into the fighting, you know, and he's like, your legacy is destruction. That's why I think he probably didn't agree with that, maybe retrospectively, but it would be so much cooler if Balin left the Order before Order 66 because he disagreed with their being in war.
Now, I think this Anakin during this time is not the same Anakin that just sent her down here.
I think it's like half and half. It's like you go into this flashback scene, but he's still kind of there.
I don't think anything he says here is part of the new lesson. She's reliving her first teachings.
So the lesson is reliving this moment in her mind.
Because he says right there, we must adjust with the times whenever she's talking about being a peacekeeper.
Right. Which is not what his message is now, right?
Right, exactly. I think she's being reminded, this is what I taught you, and that wasn't necessarily correct. I made you a soldier, I made you a warrior, you know.
In the next scene, it can't be the Anakin of that scene because he says I don't remember this.
Right.
No, when he says that, whenever they go to the next part,
right. But that implies that this whole time he's maybe.
Because sometimes when you're teaching a lesson, you purposely take the opposite thing to say, well, isn't this what you think? You know, to make them go, I guess that's more extreme than I thought.
And there's Rex with both his pistols.
Yeah, it was double.
Yeah. And there's a walker off on the right.
So amazing, the detail. This was
cool. I love the blinking between Vess and Vader. Oh, so cool. It's like this is the choice. And when he says live or die, he doesn't mean fighting is living and not fighting is dying. He means the opposite.
Yeah. So then we cut back to Carson. He's looking around. They're patrolling because Jason says it's out there. And he's like, okay, I'll keep looking. I like his whole attitude.
Yeah.
He's very down-to-earth guy.
He's been in Mandalorian. He's been in Boba. He's been in Ahsoka. He's kind of a big character.
Was he in Boba? When was he in Boba?
In some of the flashback, or not flashback, but the scenes that involved Mandalorian too. I think.
Okay. I mean, I think it was in the Mandalorian 2.5 episodes.
Yeah. You notice the picture of Kanan has been there the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I posted that too.
So then this is where it cuts to Mandalore, which is the last battle.
Right. And we see some of those Darth Maul supporters.
It was so cool to see Death Watch.
Oh.
right?
Mhm.
The helmets, like all of the
Yeah.
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 But the crazy thing, like it cuts to her, man, she is just like a murder machine. She's just flying through them, kill,
That's how
kill.
Ahsoka
Right.
was, you know.
Yeah. And that's
And here
what's
she is in the
crazy.
later later outfit.
Yeah. That was a pretty epic intro where she just comes out of the dust like that and starts fighting.
And then there's also some, I don't know if you got scenes of it, but there were a few troopers that had the orange paint on their mask.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's Rex.
Mhm.
There's the orange paint on the mask.
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then I just thought it was that calm demeanor where she's folding her arms, you know, even all this war and stuff, and just kind of taking it in and stuff. Like you could see what she's become.
Yeah.
Being trained for 3 years in war like that.
Yeah, Anakin would do the same thing, right?
Yeah, he would.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
A little bit after this, there's a scene where he's looking at her and you see like the buckles on his cuffs and everything. And it's an exact side by side of a scene in Clone Wars where they're standing looking at each other. And it looks so like everything about the whole scene was so like just one for one. It was really well done. The whole thing is unreal.
This is the part where he's like, is that what this is about? Like me killing millions of people and stuff like that? Really?
Me killing younglings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younglings and all that stuff. Yeah. I thought that made me think like he's past all that. Like he's no longer tortured by it and all that. He's accepted it and stuff. Of course, you know, she might not have, obviously. So.
Right. All right. Well, she also still blames herself, right?
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah. I think to some degree she does. His eyes turning red here. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That lean that he has, like when he leans on his front leg and he's just like, it's so intimidating. He pulls it off. So he did it in the first time.
He's got it way back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You notice this now he's got the red saber and he's on the left of the screen, where in the other one he had the blue saber, he was on the right of the screen, but he's still got that lean in. Like he's still him, right? Oh, it's so good.
It kicks her back to the world between worlds, if that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then of course more of the in between.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And it's in between because that's the choice she's facing. Like, what do I want to be? Yeah.
Now, there was something that happens here that's real subtle that I didn't pick up until I was taking these screenshots. So I'm curious.
Is it his eyes turning back to normal?
No.
Nah, it was a blink. It was almost like a blink.
He purposely like looks down and then it cuts to her face and it comes back to him and he has normal eyes. But no, whenever she has his lightsaber up against him, she has him like this. She looks him in the eye and it goes like, it's mean. And when she does, her eyes go yellow.
Oh,
it was just brief for a second.
Interesting.
And then she pulls back and throws the lightsaber, and then they're blue.
And the way she throws it is just like what Luke does.
Yeah, very Luke.
In Return of the Jedi, when he throws his lightsaber away, and he says, "I'm a Jedi, like my father before me."
Yeah,
that's the lesson right there. It's the lesson that Luke taught Vader, and Vader is now teaching Ahsoka.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Remember when Anakin had a lightsaber to somebody's head, he cut it off.
This is a way to extend things while at the same time making the importance of Return of the Jedi even greater.
Yeah.
Instead of canceling it, it's emphasizing the importance of Return of the Jedi and what happened.
Yeah. So this is where I feel that I wanted one more scene. Like they gave us the Clone Wars, and then they gave us her troops with the orange, and I just wanted to see Ahsoka with the helmets on the stakes that she did, because this is she's always been a caring, right? She never turned to the dark side because she's always had the love, the living, right? She always wanted the lesson was like she always cared about everybody. She didn't kill if she didn't have to kill. Like if someone's coming at her, she would, but she helped during Order 66. She helped Rex and them take the chips out. Like she always cared about everybody. And that moment I would have loved to have seen. They've done a lot of parallels between animated and this live action, and I would have loved to see that emotion of her and her battalion with those helmets. It would have been, and maybe we will in another scene, but I think this would have been a great time to be like, one, you had the Clone Wars, you had Mandalore, and then you had that, and it would have been like,
I think they should have had Out of the Fog Representative Binks.
No.
He's like, now you understand.
I would have shut it off so hard. Oh my god.
Why you hating on Jar Jar?
Every now and then you just start the movies over again, right? So we just finished episode 2 for the 100th time, whatever. And this little look that he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing it when he was a kid. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I started watching scenes, like important scenes throughout them, and I started with episode 1. And you know how much I love. We talked about on the 42, the Obi where he drops the cape and they're ready, and then this like the Marek does the one, and then Ahsoka does the other, and Balin does the other. In episode 1, when the doors open and Maul's there, he does the cape, and then Obi and Qui-Gon do the cape. I didn't realize that.
It's the equivalent of the Old West thing where they put their hand down by the holster or unlatch the holster or something like that. It's the thing that says, get ready because it's about to go down.
One of my favorite things of episode 1, and we'll get back to this, is in that moment, a whole team of people who are invading the palace.
Yeah, these are soldiers.
And they go, we'll take the long way. Like, we're not going past that.
They didn't even try. This is one guy standing there. But they knew.
They used their guns. They were just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. We're going around.
And I love that intense look on Darth Vader. That moment is still one of the best moments ever.
Yeah. All right, so back to we could go crazy.
Yeah.
I think that my guess is that Filoni could have written an entire book of this, but he had to chop, like you were saying, where the helmets on the thing. I imagine he had all this stuff, and eventually he was like, okay, what do I have to...
Culling it down is probably the hardest thing.
Culling must have been so tough. I can't imagine.
Well,
but I would read that book.
Things like that are usually done in threes, right? There's usually like a trinity of stuff that's happening. So you had the Clone Wars, and then you had the Mandalore, and then you would have had that. And it definitely spoke to the lesson that was being learned, and it speaks to her character, like who she is. What burying the lightsaber's her life, like all of that stuff in that moment. Where even when Anakin Darth comes and takes her lightsaber up, like that whole scene would have been really cool to see in this with what's going on in here. I think it would have really fit.
You know what was really interesting is I would have expected, instead of Jason sitting on the edge and going, "Ooh, I hear this" or something, I would have expected to see a Morai flying in.
That's a good point. No, at no point did we see that. It would have been cool to see that just in the background or something.
We saw it in The Mandalorian. Her episode, the first episode she was in Mandalorian, it's sitting on a tree whenever he's looking for her in the woods.
We haven't seen it in this series yet, have we?
No, I don't think so. Not unless I missed it. So then she, the water starts rising and all that stuff.
Another transition.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to see an X-Wing fighter jump in to pick her up and stuff. I guess they got to the ship first. Like, it's hard to tell exactly.
They picked up a life form down there.
Yeah.
Well, they had the coordinates, right? They knew exactly where the coordinates was.
Probably their R2 unit is hovering the fighter directly overhead, and then they take her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, and this is the first time I think we've ever seen, without the headband, what they look like, just naturally. There's also down, you can't see it in the still shot that easy, but in the little fold right here, there's like 3 little holes that could be like the ear holes or something on either side.
Yeah, I saw some people hashtagging bald Ahsoka.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. It's interesting. I could
It
see
looks like what I would imagine.
Yeah.
What else could it have looked like? I thought that it could have been that there was a crease there, between the two types of skin or whatever. But.
Sure.
Well, it really does. It gives it more of a real feel to it, because looking at Rosario Dawson there with the headdress on, it looks like a headdress because that's like the brim of a cap or something, and it's holding it on her head. So to remove that and have it blend in is really it was more like a little peek behind the curtain. Like, no, this is the thing. This is what they look like. Yeah. It was fleshing out the character even more.
Yeah, I like this
fleshing out.
By the way, looking at her clothing and stuff whenever she goes
That's
here.
the white suit.
This is the white wizard moment. She's come back from death.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's much more peaceful. Like, you notice this whole peacefulness and acceptance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? There's that from Rebels.
Yeah.
And then you have her in that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see, like, she's gone through a thing now that she's kind of like.
It'll be really interesting to see how she interacts with Baylan now.
Right. Yeah. And I think she'll defeat Baylan because she's different now. I don't know how that'll work, but
I don't know.
Maybe she'll hear him out and she'll end up convincing Baylan to change his plan.
Maybe.
Could be interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then she uses her ability here to listen to what happened and all, and you can see the disappointment a little bit and like knowing what happened, but at least Sabine's alive, so you're kind of like, she's still alive.
Yeah, she is. If she was not I guess I won't say Jedi, but a wizened Force user who's in control of her passions or whatever. I think most normal people or whatever would be way more affected by this than she is. The fact that it's showing on her face at all shows the intensity of it for her internally.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw it when she saw Shin come back without Sabine. You saw the look on her face.
That was even more extreme. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that this Ahsoka might be a Jedi.
Yeah, I would agree.
For the first time, really.
By any other name, right? It's like, if it's all the formula of it, whether you go by the name or not.
If you have a definition of what a Jedi is supposed to be, I think she's reached it, or at least at the very beginning, in the doorway of it here. Right. Whereas all before that, she was trained to be a warrior and a soldier and all that stuff.
If all this stuff with Anakin was, I'm here to finish your training. Well, if you're training to be a Jedi and your training is finished, then you are a Jedi.
Oh,
sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Looking at that. Yeah. Sabine's helmet.
Yeah.
And then looking at the Purgle, you're like, oh, yeah.
Now, I guessed this 2 episodes ago when he destroyed the thing, but even before that, I was like, okay, when they get away, how are they going to follow him? Because I assumed they would take it with them. And I told my wife, I said, I just guessed something, but even though it's not technically a spoiler because I don't really know, it's so probably true that I'm not going to tell you because it's like a spoiler.
Yeah.
And this is what I guess it was like. They talked about how they use them as what's it called? Migration paths or whatever. So
we did speculate though that the burn, like, it burned her hand, and we were going to get some of the star map from her hand. And that was
that would have been cool. It would have been a neat little Indiana Jones.
That would have been too much. Yeah, a little bit too much. I like
digging in the wrong place.
I like Mon Mothma's outfit here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the blue.
It's very similar to her other stuff from like Return of the Jedi. I think she had one that was very.
There's
similar.
also a similar look to that outfit that they were wearing when she, at the end of Andor series with the daughter. Yeah.
And no, that was a different one. So anyway, telling Hera like, yeah, you're gonna lose your command basically if you don't come back and stuff.
People like talk bad about the New Republic and everything, but really, I mean, I could see it from their point of view. You can't have a general just going rogue and doing whatever and not really providing any evidence for what she's saying is going on.
Sure.
They're trying to have a civilization here with rules and stuff. It's not like the old days of the rebels. Right. So I don't really blame Mon Mothma for any of this. It's just
I imagine that there are a lot of senators that weren't in the war and all that stuff, but have good intentions. Like, okay, let's have a good society. Let's make this work and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're having to contend with all these people who are just like, little spice runners and stuff turned rebel and all this stuff. Like all these people that now have high ranks and stuff, but they don't care about roles. They are literally rebels.
It's a tough job they're doing that the Republic is trying to do. They have limited resources. They still have a bunch of Imperials around. I mean, it's hard. And so it's like, people are talking about, oh, the Republic's just as bad. They got all the corruption and all this stuff. But, it's just what happens in the world when you have, a democracy and you got competing interests and they're all trying to figure out how to get things done. I mean, there's just difficulties. It's not so easy as just let's jump in our ship and go fight the bad guys all the time.
No, but they do a lot of what Chris said before about how the kids are never listened to. They're always like, yeah, we'll get to it later. All the good guys are like, no, there's no bad in the world. Don't worry about it. You don't need to go do a mission. There's nothing going on. Elsbeth's not doing anything. You're fine.
Yeah. Okay, now that one lady I thought was very suspicious, though. That one senator lady out of the four they were hologramming with or whatever.
Yeah.
I think something was up with her. She is corrupt. But that one on the far left, that guy that was to her right, our left, I thought he was well intentioned. Yeah.
Sure. And we don't even know about the other guy that had no lines, no words.
Oh, the Grand,
yeah. I think that a lot of those senators, they're looking forward and they don't want to hear about anything that's going to mess up the plans for making this all work and all that. So they turn a blind eye to stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's issues, it's problems to work out, but it's better than an evil empire oppressing and killing people and stuff.
Yeah. Here's where we see for the first time like a glimpse of the white outfit. Like all of this is white and stuff. It's pretty cool.
And she's got a totally different demeanor about her now too, right? Like she's been very stoic, she's been very regal, she's been very demanding, she's been very teacherly, and in this she seems happy. She seems like, yeah, let's just go do it. Let's go someplace else. Let's make it work. Let's make it happen.
There's a confidence in her about how things will unfold.
Yeah.
Faith. She's regained her faith.
This was a cool scene.
Yeah,
standing out there.
She can't stay inside the ship.
Something like it in there. Yeah, that was pretty epic.
I think was it the first episode? I don't remember when you said it, but you were like, oh, the Purgles look much bigger than we remember them in Rebels. And this one, they're giving them different sizes, right? There's different sizes.
Yeah. I imagine the older they get, the bigger they get. And then
it was really smart of them to do that because they changed sizes in Rebels without any explanation.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe they're just older or something like that. Yeah. But here, if you have all different sizes, you're like, okay, then it doesn't matter if sometimes, at one point he's looking at an eyeball that's this big versus one as big as a ship. It's
they're animals. Yeah,
it's smart.
It's a flock, right? A migrating flock, so it's everybody.
Somebody said that was like Finding Nemo, and I don't remember the scene. Is there a scene where the shark rises up like that and they're looking at his face?
I mean, there's a scene where they're looking up at a big shark. Bruce was his name.
Yeah, Bruce.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just a really cool scene.
Yeah.
And then these guys come in.
Yeah. Party crashers.
Never been sad.
Party
to see the rebels-
crashers.
yeah. Never been sad to see them arrive before.
Body poopas.
Yeah.
Nice little Ishy Tib eyeballs looking around.
Yeah, I like
Part
the
of
issue tips they've been putting in here. You know, if you read their species, like their description and stuff, it says that they're all over the galaxy, really prevalent, almost as much as humans. But you never
Right.
see them in any of the movies and stuff. So I've been noticing, like in Mandalorian, all this
I
stuff.
didn't know
anytime
Ishy Tib was supposed to be that common.
Yeah, whenever you
Really?
go look at whenever they go to like the cities, the core worlds and stuff like that, they're shoving
Oh.
these guys in the background all the time now.
But I mean, it's part of the lore that they're supposed to be that common?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Weird. That's kind of how Duros are too. They say Duros is supposed to be like as common, not as common as humans, but like major species, but you hardly ever see them.
Which is Cad Bane's species.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that he's kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe blah, 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 like trying to waste time with what he's saying and stuff. And
he could sound like, honestly, I was just given these orders by a general. This is what's going on as far as I know.
It gave a strong vibe of Poe when he was fucking with Hux.
Oh,
I got my whole for Hux. Like that whole scene where he was just delaying and delaying. Like it had that it's one ship against a big ship, just delaying time.
Now, I get the feeling that she was also a rebel and knows what he's doing, calling him on his shit, which was funny. That was pretty epic.
Yeah.
I like that she's all giddy, like, I'm out on the ship. He's like, she's like, get inside.
Big contrast in the light too, right? You notice how it's much brighter than a lot of the stuff we've been seeing. It's been very dark, or the planet's been very dark and red and dreary. And now I know we're above the clouds or whatever, but now that she's basically Ahsoka the Gray, or going from Ahsoka to the Gray, the white, things are much brighter.
That's a really cool point. Yeah, I even commented last episode how everything was so dark and everything, and then have all the white and stuff. Yeah, it's
always been a classic literary device to have the weather reflect the emotions. Yeah. And with Star Wars, because of the diversity of planets, you have huge options for that. I mean, there's a reason why the battle in Episode 3 took place on Mustafar, so that you could have fiery lava and darkness.
I think the lights are even higher and brighter in the cockpit here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like they finally turned up the lights.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. The walls are white, and I've never noticed them before being that.
You know what's interesting about the little teeth filter thing on the Purgles? It's like whales, that filter the plankton. So what is it that Purgles filter, I wonder?
Yeah.
Especially in space.
Well, maybe they come into planets
nebulas.
too.
Yeah, they might go into nebulas and stuff like that.
Maybe there's tiny little life forms in space too, since there's big ones.
Yeah, makes sense. This had the Empire Strikes Back vibe, but backwards. Yeah. Like instead of flying out, they're flying in.
It'd be funny if he just starts chewing and they fell for it.
Spits out part of the ship. And then
it's like those Purgles are liars. You can't trust them.
Ends credits Ahsoka.
Yes, we will take you where you want to go.
This moment,
come into my mouth.
This moment where he's like, oh, I'm glad you're certain that we're going to go there. She's like, oh, I'm not certain about anything.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? She's like, yeah, it'll be fine.
No idea. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. What am I happen? Better do something than nothing. Like, just very...
What else you going to do? You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. And she's happy about it. I just love the whole attitude.
Very different feeling to her now. Yeah. This was sick. This was so like, get the hell out of the way.
This was cool. It was really neat. Seeing him swim past those
I did think about, okay, if those were Imperial ships, they'd be like, fire on the wells, kill them, and all that stuff.
Sure.
I do like they were like, get out of their way, just let them be, and all that stuff. She didn't even know what those things are.
Their perspective coming in, like, look, Hera's saying there's a bunch of fucking whales that are going to space travel. Go there and whatever, tell her to come back. And you're going there going, yeah, okay, a bunch of space whales are going to do something. And you show up and that happens.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
And then you start seeing their tentacles start glowing. Yeah. That was so cool.
Really well done.
It's too bad Hera couldn't come with them.
Yeah. Jason's too young to travel across galaxy or to another galaxy. I thought that was
galaxy. Yeah.
Well, if she ran like that, then she would definitely lose her.
Right. At least now there's still a chance she'll be proven right, and they'll go, okay.
Yeah. Well, now she can step back and explain what the fuck they all just saw, right? Like, we don't believe you. We're coming to get you and take you back. Oh,
I thought she was going to show scans of the ring and stuff. Yeah. She should have.
She might. I mean, she has to go explain herself, and Carson, I'm sure, will have his moments and stuff too. But this moment was very Empire Strikes Back at the end, because she says, "I'll find them, I promise," to Hera, and it kind of, it feels like we're gonna go get Han.
Yeah.
And ends with "May the Force be." If I didn't already know how many, I'd be so worried that this was the last episode of the season. Yeah, because this would be such a, oh no, they stopped it here. But
here's what I hope they don't do. I hope they don't go in the next episode sticking with Hera, and you don't know what's happened to him still. I want the next episode to be, okay, now we're in the other galaxy. Let's see what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be, because we had none of that in this one, right? This was all Ahsoka. This was all her journey. This was all like, all right, now we did the thing. We're going to go. Now we're going to get, with 3 episodes left, you're going to have what I assume to be the introduction of Thrawn, whether it's at the end of this next episode or not. Then you're going to have the penultimate episode in 7 to be like, what, right? Like, what's going to happen? They're going to come over to this galaxy now, and we're going to find Ezra, and then you're going to have the end of the series. So you got 3 episodes. Like, there's no way they can't introduce Thrawn now in the next episode and tie it all up in 3. It's not going to work. So they're gonna bring him in. There's gonna be some shit happening, and then they're gonna
maybe leave. You think Thrawn will outlive the season?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, he's too important of a character to just have him. Hello, Thrawn.
Yeah, really, that'd be nuts.
If you go down the hierarchy of like the,
I don't know. It depends on how they do with all this. If they did a bunch of flashbacks or something and made it feel longer than it was,
they can't.
I withhold judgment. We'll see.
It would be the thing is, we know Rebels, right? So we know how powerful Thrawn is. We know what a threat he is to everybody. The people that don't watch Rebels don't know Thrawn. They're going to be introduced to him, and then what? He's going to be a Snoke? Like, he's just going to be like just done?
It's going to be like Inglourious Bastards.
No. They gotta give more than 3 episodes.
Yeah, and then it's going to be over, and you say, for more Thrawn, see Rebels.
No.
To learn about Thrawn, read Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. It can't. It's too short.
No.
Also, we haven't had Ezra. Like, if the whole mission is to like stop the war and get Ezra, then what are we going to just reunite with Ezra?
I don't think it's impossible to do it in a way that would be satisfactory, but I just think it would be really hard and would require really good writing. But I think you're probably right. They'll probably continue Thrawn on after this.
Do we think that there won't be a season 2?
I don't know.
There has to be. I think this gets a season 2 before Obi.
But even if it didn't get a season 2, you could continue the story in the Filoni-verse era because of these all interconnected,
Mandalorian season 4 kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, no.
You'd have to do it in a. Huh?
He could be the movie, the big bad of the movie. They could be setting up the Mandoverse movie.
Oh,
and Thrawn is the big movie guy. So it could just get a 1 and done.
It could be like, okay, he's back and he is getting together all the remnants, and they're going to go to town, and then they defeat
I
all
mean, we
that.
know the whole Shadow Council is waiting on him and all that stuff, right? So
that's when we find out that what's his face is still alive.
Gideon? No.
Gideon, or his clone, or something. No, you can't have him cloned. They won't do that because that's what the Emperor
did do
so.
that.
Yeah,
I know, but they won't have that be how he comes back, as this is his clone, because they did that with. But I'll bet they could say that was his clone, that other one. And that this is the original one.
Well, like I said, I think it's getting better and better and better. There is argument that you could I think if you don't have the Clone Wars and Rebels history, knowledge and stuff, that last episode you would think would be better than this episode. Right? Because there's just too many moments of nostalgia for
this becomes just exposition more than anything else. If you're
this is like seeing the back end of it, Yeah,
it gives you a little bit of backstory because now why when she turns around, why is Anakin behind her? If you don't know Rebels and Clone Wars, right? If she turns around and Anakin's there and you don't know that stuff, you're like, well, why the hell is it him? And then that back to Clone Wars, back to even Siege of Mandalore, back to Clone Wars is like, oh, he was the trainer. Like, that's the master.
Yeah.
They, whatever. Like, you can allude to it, but that's kind of now in your face.
Yeah, I'm not saying that other people who hadn't seen Rebels and stuff wouldn't think it was a good episode. I just think they would think episode 4 would be much stronger and better.
It'd be really interesting to hear. If you're a person who's watching this who hasn't watched Rebels, leave us some comments. Tell us what you're thinking and how this feels to you if it's doing it for you.
And also, is this your favorite? Because for me, it's been each one is just better and better and better. Like every other season's series and stuff, there's some kind of episode where you're like, that one wasn't as good, and then you're back up again and stuff. They have not dipped for me yet.
Yeah, I'd say that most of the other series, they kind of follow this up and down, up and down, up and down, and then all of these up and down things kind of come together at the end and meet up. And so all these elements. Whereas this one is just like, yeah.
And the first one was amazing. So
the lightsaber fight with her and Baylan in the last one was like, holy shit! Like, there's just different tactics being done, right? Pure power.
And now imagine if you're Filoni and you're writing this and you've done all this so far and you're like, now I've got to go better than that. You can't not, right? So hopefully
I don't know what kind of lightsaber. Like, we'll have another duel with Shin, I'm sure, and Baylan, I'm sure, but I don't know if the lightsaber battle is going to beat what we've seen, right? They've progressed. They've gotten better, right? The fights in the woods were great. The fight with Baylan was even better. The fight with
I'm going to make a prediction right now. My prediction is that Baylan kills Shin.
Because you think Shin has been raised as a non-Jedi, basically.
I think they're going to find some way to get through to him, and she's just going to be this killing machine, and he's going to realize he needs to get her out of there. Maybe in exchange for who am I trying to think of? Mandalorian? Sabine or something. I don't know whether it be that or what. I'm not saying what it is, but I just sense it coming. I think he's going to be the one to kill her. Because you can't have Ahsoka come to this big conclusion about Jedi aren't just about fighting, and then just have her go murder hobo all into the place and kill everybody.
During the Siege of Mandalore, was Bo-Katan there? Bo-Katan was there, right? With Ahsoka?
Yeah, she was.
At the Siege of Mandalore?
Yeah, she...
Yeah.
They went in together. She kind of separated and did her own thing, but yeah.
Okay. I feel like I didn't think about it till this then, but that would have been a nice little, like, you had Rex, right, in the Clone Wars, like, you could have had...
Yeah, again,
they were separated.
Filoni's mastery of being a fanboy but not overdoing it is not putting Zeb in there, not putting Like I wanted to see Darth Maul whenever she was in Mandalorian, all that stuff. I was like, are they gonna bring him back in just for that moment or something? But not doing it.
I still think it's super surprising that they created that whole big 3D model of Zeb and then didn't feel like they wanted to use it.
I think we'll see him again. I think he might be in the next episode whenever she goes back to Coruscant and he wants to be a character witness, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to imagine a scenario where he shows up again.
And maybe something is happening in the final episode that brings it back to this galaxy, and they need to be there at the other end to receive, and then stuff going on with those. Yeah, who knows?
Well, we'll see. Can't wait for the next episode. I wish there were like 2 a week or something.
I am starting to hate Wednesdays.
Because it's the furthest day possible from.
And then Wednesday's just like, shit, I want to watch more.
Yeah. And I'm watching right now, a reactor who's reacting to Andor and just being reminded of how great that series was in its own way.
Yeah.
We're getting a second one of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That'll be
good. I love the fact that we have different feelings of every series feels different. And you could like one over the other just because of your individual taste.
We got Jedi adventures, spy thriller, Western. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
Now I want like a film noir kind of thing. That'd be cool. Detective.
That would be. Yeah.
All right.
That's what you're getting on your Sunday game.
Yeah. On our role-playing game. That's true. All right. So we'll be back next week after the next episode. And we'll talk about how great that one is. At this point, I can't. Every time I'm like, okay, the next one can't be as good as the next. So I try not to be too excited, but
yeah.
Next week we're gonna have to figure out when to do it because it'll come out on Tuesday, but I'll be setting up for the convention on Wednesday, so I might have to stream it from the hotel on Wednesday.
I saw some.
I don't want to miss it.
I saw somebody post something funny. People posting pictures and stuff, and a picture of somebody just like on their knees doing like this, and Dave Filoni's head floating in the clouds with sun rays and stuff, with the cowboy hat on.
Of course.
This was Filoni's episode, right? Didn't he direct this one?
Oh,
I didn't look at the director.
We ought to look at that.
I think he took this one over because it had a lot to do with like what he's created, like what he's built.
That would
not only is Ahsoka his character, but like Clone Wars and like Rebels is a lot of like it's him. So I think this.
And Favreau is a producer. Is that correct on this one? Like it's not quite as 50-50 as
writer, I think, as well.
Oh, writer too.
I believe I can double check, but he it makes sense that he would direct this one though because Hayden Christensen didn't play the Anakin that he's kind of doing in this one, right?
Right.
Filoni writing all that and like directing.
I mean, it's kind of weird. It's like the Anakin character has this outburst in episode 2. And then he kind of gets it together and he does all this effective, cool warring through the Clone Wars with Obi-Wan and them being brothers and friends. And then he loses his mind in episode 3. And so if you just watch the movies, you just see this crazy, unstable dude for both of those movies. And you just have to believe in the dialogue that they were good friends and fought together all this time. So that's what's great about the Clone Wars series is getting to see.
It's not like 2, he's crazy, and then Clone Wars, he's awesome, and then 3, he's crazy. Like, you see why he becomes, like...
Yeah, they ramp it up. You start to see episodes that...
You see the council making mistakes and him losing out on it. And
well, it's really a lot. It's all manipulation on Palpatine, right? Right from the beginning. Where he says, we'll be watching your career with great interest. Like that whole where he touches him on the shoulder at the ceremony.
He knows what the weaknesses are and how to exacerbate them and exploit them. So.
Sure. But Obi, I mean, as much as I love Obi as a character, Obi is at fault for this because he's constantly putting him down. If you even like in his demeanor when he's telling him, like, it's just.
I think it's the only way he knows how to counteract his ego. He's trying to like deflate it a little bit because
he's got
it's
his
so
big ego, and he's trying to count.
Yeah.
And most Jedi Masters don't have to deal with that.
He's constantly getting pushed by Obi, and he's getting pulled by Palpatine at the same time. It's really clever. Sad, but it's clever.
All right, so we'll see you next episode, and tell us what you thought of this one.
Take care.